Hello again, everyone. I'm Robbie Ann Mackin from Eco America, and I'm pleased to introduce this next session with Dr. Leah Prussia. Dr. Prussia's background includes knowledge and practice in mental health services, substance abuse, and trauma. She blends teachings from Anishinaabe elders, nature, somatic experiencing, and relational cultural theory to address the biopsychosocial and spiritual aspects of individuals, groups, and communities. She understands the relationship between personal and planetary health and actively collaborates with the natural world in the healing process. Dr. Prussia is an associate professor at the College of St. Scholastica and sole proprietor of Natural Connections in Duluth, Minnesota. She is a contributor to our recently released Mental Health and our Changing Climate report. Thank you, Dr. Prussia, for joining us today.
Thank you, Ravi. Ujuandinawe maganidug, chigamingandayan mangin dudem, jawanangi kwe indigenous kaz wawatekwe indigo. What I shared is I live on the southwest edge of Lake Superior in Duluth, Minnesota. I'm from the Loon clan, and lastly, I shared what my spirit names are. I recently changed how I do my introduction based on a teaching my sister received from a Wisconsin elder. I really saw the beauty in shifting, moving myself as the individual in the forefront to who I am in relationship to the land. So like as I said, I shared with you who I am in relationship to the land first, who I am in relationship to my clan second, and then lastly, who I am as an individual. I want to invite you to take a moment to think about who you are in relationship to the land. I invite you to bring to mind the land that you currently tend to or call home. And as you bring that space and place that is near and dear to you, I invite you to just check in to see what starts to come to mind. Are there four-legged swimmers, crawlers, or flyers? Are there any rooted relatives or water life forms around you that make that place home? And as you think about that place, as you honor that place that you consider home, I want to invite you to check into your body. Is there any movement or shifting? Is there any opening of the heart space? I know for me, as I remember who I am in relationship to Chigaming, to Lake Superior, I know it grounds me in who and how I am and how I move through this world. I'm here to share just a little bit today of teachings that I've received from the natural world, from my Anishinaabe elders, and from the Western Academy. Many of us are acutely aware of our interconnection with all of life. We are also cognizant that we need to move toward a model of health that recognizes the inextricable link between the health of our own personal human body and the health of our planetary body. I invite all of you to get curious about your relationships with both the humans and the natural world. I want to briefly share a teaching that I received from some triplet fawns that moved through my backyard last summer. As I sat there and watched the three rest and digest and feel safe in this place that I call home, I noticed that my naughty cat Beowulf got out of the house in an effort to bask in the springtime glory. Instead of darting after him, the sole invasive species, to my backyard, I took a moment to pause. I wanted to see how those triplets would react and respond to this new species that they had never encountered before. As I watched the triplets, I didn't see fear, nor did I detect fear. I'm trained to watch the body, and as I watched their bodies, I could see that they continued to be in rest and digest. And rather than run or flee from this new black four-legged creature that encroached on their space, I noticed a sense of curiosity. They tilted their heads. They started to paw at the ground a little bit, and they moved towards my four-legged Beowulf. As they leaned in, it was a wonderful teaching for me to remain curious, to lean in during these times of uncertainty and stress, rather than move into fight or flight response. So I share this with you as an invitation during these intense times politically, this unrest that we're seeing globally and internationally, and what we're seeing happen with our Earth. I want to recognize that we all hold ancestral trauma within our bodies, and that we as humans are reenacting some of these trauma responses in our day-to-day interactions with humans and the natural world. I wanted to briefly just share with you some of the takeaways and teachings that I share with a class of mine. I teach at the College of St. Scholastica in the Masters in Social Work program, and created a course called Somatic Literacy, Clinical Collaboration with the Natural Environment. And I wanted to share some pieces with you to help you ground and land, stay connected and stay curious as you engage in this work to protect not only our human relatives, but all of life. So similar to what the deer do, I invite you to pause, take a moment to breathe, and remember that our exhalation, which lets our nervous system know and move into parasympathetic, it lets it move into rest and digest, and that exhalation is just as important as that inhalation. Both sustain life, not only for us as humans, but our rooted relatives. After you pause, I invite you to notice what happens inside as you tend to your body in relationship to the larger planetary body. What do you notice as you're engaging with a human you've never encountered, or are in a land space that's new to you? Are you feeling connected? Are you feeling safe? Or are you noticing that your body is in fight or flight? Perhaps you're even in freeze. As you take a moment to pause and notice and name what's happening within your body, I invite you to start figuring out, how do I navigate? What do I need to do to integrate that reptilian response that protects the self with those higher level brain forms of ours, the mammalian brain, that higher level brain we refer to as the prefrontal cortex. So if I am, as a human, in active fear, how do I move from that space of contraction towards expansion and lean into curiosity? I invite you to engage with a resource when you're noticing you're in active fight, flight, or freeze. Can you embrace your loved one, whether it's a child or a partner? Can you lean in towards one of your four-leggeds and notice the temperature and the softness as you interact with that being? Are you able to lean into a tree or sit by the water and notice the whispers, listen to the sounds, and what happens to your body as you reach out for a resource? Once we notice a name and learn to navigate differently to rewire our trauma responses, neuroregulation occurs when we're mindfully attending to what's happening with this body and with the larger planetary body. Once we're able to get into our higher mind and touch into our reptilian body, we're able to start to move towards that natural relation, learn to naturally relate, return to those authentic relationships with the natural world. I invite all of you to work towards healing the trauma, healing the personal trauma, and working to heal the systemic trauma that continues to impact all of our relationships in this natural world. I invite you to stay curious, to try to lean in, to listen, Listen to not only the winds and the seasons and the trees and the animals, but also to listen to that blood memory, those indigenous teachings that we hold from that space or place that we come from. The course that I teach incorporates not only Anishinaabe teachings, but Western ways of knowing. How do we start to hold those ancient teachings and wisdom that have gotten us this far in our planetary evolution, and hold it besides and with those Western teachings that also give us tools to move forward in healing our personal and planetary health. I leave you with the question that I started you out with. Who are you in relationship to the land? I invite you as you move through your places and spaces and connections, not only with the human world, but with the natural world, which we are a part of. Who are you in relationship to the land? And finally, what kind of relative or ancestor do you want to be? Miigwech, meet you for your kind attention. I want to be mindful of the time and recognize that there are so many more messages from our relatives that are sharing here at the Eco America conference. With that, I want to turn it back over to Megan so she can lead you into the next section.